Dan, what have you learned? What's the best lesson that you've learned from a mentorship relationship, besides the tennis guy, because that's a good one, but either as a mentor or as a mentee?
Probably the biggest lesson for me is, and I alluded to it with the comment about blind spots. You know, when you think of learning how to drive, one of the first things you want to learn is where your blind spots are. Because those blind spots are what are going to cause you to get in a wreck. And those blind spots are what's going to, you know, get somebody hurt. And I believe we have those. We have those in our personal life, in our relationships. We have those in our professional life. We have those in our business decisions. And just because you know that you have them doesn't make them go away. It means that you have to learn how to adapt your behavior to make up for them. And if you don't, you're bound to have a wreck. And when I learned that, it enabled me to hold my opinions with a lot more of an open hand and say, okay, here's my opinion with my blind spots. And be willing to have people give me that feedback to say, hey, just so you know, this is something you're not seeing. And instead of being offended by it, you know, and it was mentioned about humility, instead of being offended by it, you go, thank you. Because, you know, that was a blind spot. And now I can adapt my behavior to make sure I don't get in a wreck and people don't get hurt and my business doesn't suffer because of that. That's been a huge lesson. Right.
Ray, what's the best thing you've learned from a mentorship relationship?
I've thought of 4 examples, so I don't know if we'll do a few of them maybe. I'll do them quickly. So one of the things I learned, I was a student intern, and I became an intern. And my preceptor was the same one. It was an internal medicine preceptor. I don't think you'd mind if I mention his name. I don't think he's even practicing anymore. It's Fred McDonald. He was a great guy, great internist. And he told me something. He really treated me well as a student. He was very, you know, kind of very mentorly, I guess, and, you know, gave a lot of fatherly kind of advice. And when I became an intern, I didn't change my approach. I had the same approach I had as a student, like, you know, 4-page history and physicals, took an hour to do each one, you know, kind of, you know, basically kind of a full meal deal, kind of as though I was still a student. He pulled me aside after the first one I did that, and in no uncertain terms told me, look, you're an intern now. You have staff. You're in charge. Lives are in your hands. You're an MD now. Get your shit together and start like acting as though, you know, you're prioritizing, and don't give me the full meal deal. Tell me what's important. And then he just kind of walked away, and I was like, whoa. But, you know, that lesson has held me in very good stead all my life, I think. You know, just in terms of when your role changes, you have to reflect on that, and you have to adapt. You have to change and reflect, what do I have to do differently? What behaviors do I have to change? And, you know, and seek clarity from the people you work with. So one of the things I could have done better was to ask them, what is different now? I don't know what to do. It didn't occur to me, but it occurs to me now almost every time I have a new role. When I was learning about computers, and this is something that was highlighted in an article that was just written, my science teacher kind of thought this would be something useful for me. He thought I'd enjoy, you know, getting into computers. I didn't know anything about them, and he wouldn't let me give up. He said, you know, just keep trying, kind of keep trying to load the program in, try to learn basic, learn some programming languages, and so I learned the value of persistence from him, and, you know, just stick with things and give it a shot. And even if it's totally outside your comfort zone, sometimes you might end up liking it, you know, as much or more than anything else you do. It might lead to your next career path. And maybe one last example. When I did my exec MBA, I had he was a prof, right? But, you know, a mentor of a different sort. But again, he kind of, I talked to him after class, and I kind of developed a mentoring relationship a little bit with him, talking about some of the challenges I had at BioWare and some of the, you know, we were growing rapidly, and I needed help with structure and systems and processes and, you know, org behavior stuff. So he gave me the insight that, you know, sometimes you need a little bit of structure and process, but don't overdo it. Just kind of put it in place as you get to it, and, you know, just in time kind of philosophy. And a little bit of structure can help smooth the process as you're growing. But if you put in too much, you know, he gave me lots of examples of how that can actually stifle creativity and growth. So I've learned different things from different people, and like Kristina said, I think that informality of adapting and just, you know, taking mentorship wherever you can get it is a really good philosophy to have at any stage of your career.
And Kristina, what's the best thing you've learned?
I have 2 good lessons, I think. One of them was when I was a bit younger, and I think having third-party evidence, or objective people, almost validating that, yes, and you can do this when you have moments of self-doubt, or what I like to call it, imposter syndrome. I think it's really helpful to have somebody say to you, no, I believe in you, you can do this, or whatever, this job, this project. So that was has constantly been a really good learning for me, and I've been very thankful for those people. And the second thing is that learning that feedback is a gift. It's not something to, whoever's giving you feedback, it's not always easy to give people feedback, whether it's really positive feedback or really constructive feedback, but really helpful feedback is not done very easily. And it takes a lot of practice to be able to give good feedback, and a lot of practice to be able to take feedback. And that it is a gift. When someone gives you that feedback, you can choose to do what you want, you can disregard it, and then it's, you lose. You're the one that's losing. But that person that's giving it to you, or they're doing it because they've taken the time to think about it and how it impacts you, and you should value that.